Welcome to Sports Medicine on Tap. My name is Brandon O'Line. I'm sitting at Neck of the Woods Brewing Company with my good friend Dr. Frey and our very special guest tonight, Gino Gradkowski. Gino, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This is a long time coming, and this was in the back of my mind for a while, and it's a special show tonight because this is our Super Bowl preview. It feels just like yesterday, Dr. Frey. We sat down and did our fantasy football preview early in August, and the season went by like that.
We're at the end. So sad to see football winding down.
It's a tough time. And with the Super Bowl around the corner, no one better than a Super Bowl champion himself, Gino here, current offensive coordinator at Rowan University. So Gino and I work together on a regular day-to-day basis. And I invited him on the show because who's to know better what it's like to be in a Super Bowl than someone who's won one himself.
Right.
So
right.
Gino, welcome.
Thanks
for doing this. I know it's always fun as all of us are dads, and it's like prime time bedtime when we're sitting around having a couple beers and talking football.
I'm sure your wife is thrilled.
I'm sure she was really excited about this invitation. So just to open the floor a little bit with us tonight, Gino, just a little bit of background about yourself. Like I mentioned, you are a Super Bowl champ of Super Bowl 47 with the Baltimore Ravens.
Despite being a Yinzer.
That's right.
So if you don't mind, like we mentioned a little bit here, you are originally from Pittsburgh. If you don't mind going over your playing career and kind of how it all unfolded a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was always part of my family growing up. I mean, I grew up in Pittsburgh. Obviously, my brother's 6 years older than me. Can't forget to mention I had two sisters also.
Yeah.
I was the youngest of four. But, my brother went to Toledo, got drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, played 11 years as a quarterback. So, obviously watching his path growing up, it was always something I wanted to chase after and follow.
Yeah.
Follow in a different way, though, playing O-line.
A little different.
But, more than just us, I had three cousins that played Division I college football as receivers, a cousin that played Division II linebacker. So it was in our blood. Like, we all went
pretty amazing.
Played. Yeah, there was eight grandkids, 8 grandchildren that were boys. 7 of us played college football. So
wow.
That's just how it was. The other one played college baseball, so we don't really talk
Seriously.
to him too much. No, but that's just something that was, we just grew up around it, especially being in Pittsburgh. You spent some time in Pittsburgh. You know the environment around there. I mean, hockey, football, whatever it was, whatever season it was, and obviously football is huge in Pittsburgh in the fall. So loved it and just loved playing the game, and it obviously was a vehicle that allowed me to experience so many incredible things and live in different cities and meet so many incredible different people. The greatest of the great in their specific fields, and just be able to observe them, not just players, but coaches and athletic trainers and doctors at the highest level, and just see how everything is done was just really special to observe and just be around. So really appreciative of my experiences, but ended up at college I went to West Virginia for 2 years. Rich Rod recruited me there.
All right.
Now he's back around.
Yeah.
But then when he went to Michigan, I ended up transferring to Delaware and played for Casey Keeler for 3 years, and got drafted to Baltimore, hit the jackpot, won the Super Bowl my first year as a backup, but got to, like I said, observe a lot of great people, and was a wonderful ride, great experience. And then, played journeyman for the next 7 years, kind of bouncing around place to place, but it was a lot of, like I said, great cities, great places to live.
What were some of the other teams that you wound up on after that?
Yeah, so I was in Baltimore for 3 years. Yeah. After Baltimore, I got traded to Denver.
We'll talk about the timing on that.
On April Fool's Day. So I really thought it was a joke, and Ozzie said, no, Gino, it's me. We're trading you to Denver, and was really excited about it because Coach Kubiak was my offensive coordinator in Baltimore my third year, and then he got hired as the head coach in Denver.
Right.
So
not Clint. That was the older Kubiak.
Gary, Coach Mr. Kubiak.
Mr. Kubiak. Well said.
And Clint and Clay and all those guys were around. They were young assistants and quality control guys, just earning their way, and so I was really excited to go play for Gary because I loved him as a coach. I thought he was a great person, very genuine, good leader. So I was excited to go, have an opportunity to play for him and play with Peyton Manning. And
Right.
so
going for number 2, baby.
That's right. That's right. So I was there all the way through September. The Monday of the first week of the regular season, got cut. Ended up getting claimed off of waivers by Atlanta. Ended up in Atlanta in the 2015 season when Denver ended up going to win the Super Bowl. So that would have been Super Bowl II for me.
Yeah.
Right.
But ended up in Atlanta for 1 year, Carolina for 2 years. My second year was on IR for the first half of the season. And then my last year, I got picked up by Denver again and ended up playing for Denver for the last half of my last year in 2018. So
All
that's
right.
how I
All right.
wrapped it up.
So you made it through a lot. You
Yes.
went all over the place, which is crazy.
Right.
And you were like you said, like you started off hot. Like you just start first year in, you get the ring. It's like, holy cow, this is great.
Yeah, so this happens every year, right? Like we're gonna come back every year.
I can't wait to do this again.
But it was funny because, and I'll never forget this. This was the week of the Super Bowl, and we were in New Orleans, and it was media day, which I think actually happened today, right? Or today or yesterday
happened,
or something.
Yeah.
So it was media day, so you're around the stadium and you get, you got your jersey on with the shorts and you're doing interviews or whatever. And there's so much media there, and I'm a rookie and I'm like nobody. We got Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Ray Rice, Joe Flacco, tons of like big name guys on our
local
team.
guy. Yeah.
So when media's around, I'm never getting bothered, and I love that because I don't like talking to media, except for you guys. Not talking to your media. No, but but at the Super Bowl, there's like everybody from every outlet from different countries, and it's just crazy. So you're getting interviewed by like people with like Nickelodeon whatever. But we're sitting on the field, and Matt Burke looks over at me. Matt Burke was the center at the time. This was his 16th year in the NFL.
Right.
Harvard guy. He was the center. He was the guy that I was backing up, and great mentor, great leader. Great guy to learn from. And he looked at me and goes, "This is my first Super Bowl in 16 years. Don't take this for granted because it doesn't happen every year." So he was right, because that was the last one I got to go to. But
although you were close, man.
Very close, multiple times,
then,
right? Like
what's funny too is I was 7 years in the league. My brother was 11, but he never sniffed the Super Bowl.
Is that right?
I don't
Really?
think he got past the first round of the playoff.
Yeah. Do you show him the ring every now and again? Yeah.
I show it off.
Speaking of which, can I?
It's brought it because it's a special week. It's actually a special day today. This is the day of the Super Bowl. 13 years ago. Yeah,
13 years ago today. Look
13
at that.
years ago today, February 3rd, 2013.
Yeah, look at that beaut, huh?
That's pretty stinking awesome.
Here, then I'll get it on
you get
this
it.
camera too, just in case. But I mean, that is some quality
Stuff.
hardware. For sure.
Yeah.
Funny story about when I went to grab this from the house on my way over. I thought I lost it. It wasn't in my secret hiding spot, so I'm panicking, running around the house, and my daughter Giada, who's 6, looks at me and goes, "Dad, don't worry, we're gonna find it. I think I put it in your nightstand." So she goes over to my nightstand, pulls out a string of Cheerios. I said, "No, that's not what I'm looking for."
That's not
She
quite
almost
it.
had it, man.
So close.
Yeah.
So
Very
close.
important piece of equipment there, but not exactly what I'm looking for.
This isn't it. The Cheerios. It shows you just how important it is to a 6-year-old.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
And then, with that being, your kids never saw you play, right?
They didn't. So actually, 2018 was my last season.
Right.
So obviously that ends in early 2019.
Yeah.
So January of 2019, I continued to train and try to find another
right.
opportunity,
Sure.
but things weren't just happening. And I had kind of had like a string of injuries towards the last 3 or 4 years of my career. So I was already tagged as like there was a red flag on my name. And when I was getting brought into different places, they were actually having me sign a waiver on my left shoulder and both my knees. So when obviously everything is all shared amongst different teams in the league with injury reports and things like that. So everybody has a file. So your file gets passed around, and your file will get tagged with injuries that you've had in the past. And my type of injuries were not, fix it and you're going to be good to go and you're not going to have any issues with this anymore as long as the surgery was successful and everything does what it's supposed to do.
Right.
My injuries were wear and tear, cartilage, joint damage, like those type of things where this is going to be a problem as you get older, and now you're getting older, so you're probably,
it's going to be a problem.
I'm already
Might be a little problematic going forward, right?
And I'm already an undersized offensive lineman, so like it was an uphill battle there at the end. So that early offseason of 2019, trying to get an opportunity, and got a chance to fly down to Tampa to get a workout for their training camp. Mm-hmm. So it was early August, going down to Tampa and just praying please help me to get a clear answer here and just to see what this is going to happen. So go through the physical, and the doctor actually, looking through my x-rays and looking at my left shoulder, actually failed my physical because of my left shoulder, because of the damage that was in there. He actually called it a goat's beard at the top of the humerus there, where there's the consistent damage,
little bit of arthritis in there.
Yeah. So the ball of the joint isn't a smooth ball. There's a little lip on it, so that kind of jerks, catches and clicks and things like that. So I guess his assessment of the x-ray and his moving my shoulder around and checking my range of motion, which isn't really good,
or lack
he
thereof,
said, I'm not going to make you go through a workout when I know I'm going to tell them that you're not real healthy. So
right.
Say, I'm
some
sorry,
clarity though.
Yeah, so that I actually really appreciated that from the doctor, because he could have very well said, just whatever, go through your workout, and then said that afterwards, but just to do that ahead of time. And that was a clear answer that I was looking for. And that was August of 2019, and then my daughter was born in October of 2019.
Oh, there you go.
So just a few months later, now I become a dad, which is way better than being a football player anyway.
Absolutely.
So that was a great thing to look forward to, in my transition out of playing.
Right. That's a good thing to keep you very much occupied and very tired too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, she's a lot tougher than some of the D tackles I played against.
Right.
Oh, I bet. So, I think it's worth, again, we talked a little bit about your shoulder, and we can just dive into a little bit of the upcoming Super Bowl, right? We do have the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks playing.
Again.
Right? Rerun that again.
But a lot different looking.
Totally different,
teams,
right? Yeah, very.
I think they're going to run the ball at the 1 yard line this time. I think that'll happen for
if given the opportunity.
If given the opportunity, correct. But as always, I try to look up some injury report information for tonight's show.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny how we go through the whole 20 weeks of NFL football season, and everything's pretty much out in the open. Everyone's injuries are very much out there, and then you look up for the Super Bowl, and it's very hush-hush. It's like a hockey report. It's like a hockey report, right? But I think, it's also interesting that both starting quarterbacks have made their way on the injury report going into the Super Bowl, with Drake Maye dealing with a right shoulder injury on his throwing side, which happened, I guess, in the AFC Championship game. And then a lot of speculation and hoopla in the media, if you will. He missed practice on Friday of last week, but he was also reported as ill. So Mike Vrabel, the head coach, was saying that he would have practiced based off his shoulder, but he was also sick, so now he didn't practice.
Right.
So everyone calm down. It's not his shoulder. He's just sick, and guys, whatever.
At least that's what they're saying.
At least that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
Or just buying some extra time to get it a little better.
Yeah.
And then Sam Darnold also dealing with an oblique injury, which he played through in the NFC Championship game, so shouldn't be a problem. But with something like an oblique going into that, you don't want to piss it off, if you will, overthrowing during the preparation for the Super Bowl and all that stuff.
Nagging injury that can kind of pop back up and cause some issues. Right. But I feel like that's not one that has a low chance of really knocking him out. Right? It's a Super Bowl. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity potentially.
Right.
Yeah. And someone who I don't want to say was on the verge of being out of football, but his career trajectory was not going in the right direction for a little while there, and all of a sudden it all turns around, and now he's in the Super Bowl. He's going to do everything in the field. Yeah. He's going to play. And if he had this injury when he was in the NFC Championship game, played well then.
Yeah, he did pretty good then, right?
No reason to expect he's not going to play pretty well now. And then really honestly, lots of times the answer there is going to be downtime, and there's going to be plenty of it pretty soon.
Yeah,
win or
plenty
lose.
of time off, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we've mentioned before, right, in this world of sports medicine. It's like we give a little, take a little, but when it comes to these situations, when it's a championship game, level game, and I've talked to Gino about this on a day-to-day basis, like, yeah, this injury is kind of but we should definitely rest it. Again, if it were a championship-style game and there's the last go-round, yeah, we can push that envelope a little bit. However, I think, we just be smart about it. But in this situation, this is Super Bowl. This is it. This is going to be some guy's last game of their career potentially. I'm sure there's some older vets on these rosters that are like, this is the last chance I get. Hopefully they ride off in the sunset and go about their business. But then you have to just kind of play that game a little bit. But at the same time, the world of sports medicine, you push the envelope.
Yeah. Going to get, again, it's not the true mold of our show. Like the true mold of our show, you pick an injury, talk about the injury, but it's a little different and kind of cool when we get to go in this direction. Mm-hmm. So you had a fairly extended career in the NFL. Not many people are able to talk about that. You went to a Super Bowl, pretty close to being on a couple teams that just traded, just kind of
right
just
there.
missed, right? But so I'm kind of. So now the NFL career is over. You're back in coaching. Have you been to a Super Bowl since? Have you been a part? Like what happens?
So I've actually only been to 2 football games as a fan.
Are you serious?
Since really, I never went to them as a player either. I'd go to games when my brother was playing before I got in, and
of course,
or if there was maybe a chance I could go see him play when I wasn't or whatever.
Yeah.
But the Ravens had a 10-year anniversary for the Super Bowl, so I went back for that. They did a nice little gathering for us there. The Ravens have such a great alumni organization.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Matt Little works for them, and he reaches out to us all the time, and they give us great resources and welcome us back.
Yeah.
All the time, always inviting us back, especially if they know we're a coach. They'll invite us down for mini camp, spring practices, things like that. So very appreciative of that organization. But so then the 10-year anniversary, and then last year they invited me back for the Sunday night game, and it was against Detroit when my brother was there coaching there. So went back for that game so I could see Bruce, down on the field and things like that. But I've never been back. I've actually never been to a Super Bowl as a fan. That was the one and only Super Bowl that I've ever been to.
Yeah, and you were on the field.
Yeah. And the lights went out for about a half hour.
Yeah, I forgot about that, man. Holy cow,
game
that's
the
what it
lights
was.
went out, right?
Right. That's absolutely crazy.
What was that like? Like you were just sitting there and all of a sudden, oh man, it's dark.
So I just heard some chatter on the sideline because it happened on the other side, like on the Niners sideline first, like the one corner. It was a slow process. Like the one corner of the stadium, the lights went out.
Yeah.
And then I think it was maybe a minute or a minute and a half later, then the whole stadium went down. So we're standing there and we can see it because it's a sore. Yeah. You can see
it's
the
so
darkness
bright and
there.
not right there.
Yeah.
Right?
So Joe's like, why is that scoreboard off? Because in the that top clock. Because in the NFL, there's clocks on the things that go around the stands or whatever. And, you could see the one section was out, and everyone starts looking around, talking about it. And then all of a sudden, all the lights went out. And it was dark. Yeah, it was very, eerie. Because I've been in dark, big stadiums before, empty because no one's in them.
Right.
Or, indoor facilities where it's dark. And you can see, but it's there's little, safety lights on around.
Right.
But it was never like that with a full stadium.
Right.
There's,
everybody's there.
80,000 people in there, and the lights are dark.
I completely. This was just one of those moments, right? Where I'd completely forgotten that had happened until you just said it, and then it sparks. Those little 2 neurons fire away, and you're like, oh, now I remember that. And it was not. It was, I guess, the year after 9/11, I think, right?
So,
or was it 2 years because
we were 2012. So
2012.
Oh
no! So I guess it was.
You're thinking about the other Ravens Super Bowl.
The Ravens.
That's what I was doing. Sorry, my bad.
That was the year before.
Never mind.
2000,
okay. Yeah. But anyway, all right. But
that would have been something.
Could you imagine?
That would have been really scary.
Even when something like that happens at a big event, you do that crosses your mind. I hope this isn't anything.
Is this a disaster? Right.
That's being inflicted by somebody.
Sure.
And then there was jokes about Beyonce shutting the place down at the halftime show. Having such a good show. We were rolling there though. Jacoby Jones took the opening kickoff back to the house, and it was their following drive when the lights went out. And I think we were up by like 17 at the time or something like that.
And it was also interesting too that the Harbaugh brothers were playing each other in that, like
the Harbaugh Bowl,
the Harbaugh or whatever. And then it's also interesting, at least from your standpoint, of having a brother in the league as well, just like that brotherly connection, how it kind of always goes. And again, we haven't seen anything like that since the Kelsey brothers were the last like brotherly duo, if you will, that kind of went toe to toe in the Super Bowl. It's always interesting to see those little connections of things, how it happens. Like
they're Haywood brothers on the same team. I like that.
Gotta like that too, right?
For sure. And then, did you ever play against your brother?
We did, yeah. So we actually played. So my rookie year, I was in Baltimore. He was in Cincinnati. So we played each other twice a year. And then after Cincinnati, he went to Pittsburgh. So the next 2 years, I was in Baltimore. We still played each other twice a year. It was cool because we played each other on Thanksgiving night.
Right.
The one night in Baltimore. So.
So Ben was quarterback at that point in time, right?
Yeah, he was backing Ben up. We had a little family Thanksgiving dinner in Baltimore the night before.
Very interesting that you went to Baltimore with that.
And and then we had met each other a couple of times here and there, but my first 3 years when I was in Baltimore, we played each other twice a year, and then the 1 year we played each other in the playoffs as well.
Oh, wow.
And he actually got in the game because Ben got banged up towards the end of the game, so he went in there and threw a couple nice passes. All the guys on the sideline were giving me crap about it.
That's fantastic.
It
was
nuts. Cool. It was cool.
So, I guess, Gino, did you always think that you would end up being a coach, or was it just... Did it kind of just happen?
No, I never did. I actually, as a player, said that I'll never do this. I never want to coach. And all the guys that I would play with, especially in the NFL, would joke with me like Coach Gino because I didn't look like a professional athlete. I was like I was an undersized old lineman, but I was pudgy and I looked older, so they would call me Coach Gino. So, and I kind of embraced that too because I always like to help other guys out if I saw things or if I felt like if I was a backup and I could help the starter find a couple indicators of when they're blitzing or when this guy's doing this, he's going to come down, different things like that I would try to help with. So I always loved the mental part of the game. I always just loved, trying to dissect the defense and try to figure out when they're doing certain blitzes. And it was such a cool feeling, especially playing against Troy Polamalu and James Harrison and those guys, and to be able to figure out, playing against Dick LeBeau. Growing up as a Steeler fan, Dick LeBeau is a legend. So for me to be able to try to figure out his defense and game plan against them was like a dream come true. So it's actually those things that I got really excited about, and obviously loved playing in the game. Right. But I was equally as excited about the preparation throughout the week. So I guess it makes sense that that's where I ended up. But as a player, I didn't.
It really does make sense.
And when I got done playing, I had no interest in doing it. What I actually wanted to do was go into student athlete leadership development back at Delaware, where I graduated. I worked with all different sports doing, culture work and different type of, core values and leadership sessions and things like that to try to, help people off the field. Because that's what I was always interested in trying to do is continue to be around the game, but maybe doing it in a way that wasn't just X's and O's and trying to help with life skills and leadership and things like that. Yeah. And doing that with different sports, I kind of realized that, man, if it's hard doing a session with this team for 30 minutes and then going to this team for an hour and then going to this team, if I had my team and I was with them every day and I could talk about football and we can play football and have fun with that, and then I could also build these things into it, that's way more impactful than trying to kind of spread myself a bunch of different places. So that mixed with my passion and desire to get back into the game kind of pulled me away from Delaware. And then, I actually started here at Rowan as a part-time offensive line coach, just helping out with Coach Lancetta and Coach Accorsi, and loved it, man. Loved the guys that I was coaching, loved the guys that I was coaching with, and, very happy that I was kept on as a full-time role and very, really cool to be an offensive coordinator because there's as an O-line coach, banging this.
You get excited.
On
It's that ring,
Saturdays,
it's real heavy, just slamming it down.
on Saturdays on game day, you're on the sideline, and there's very little that you can do except for in between series when you're talking to the guys.
Yeah,
sure.
As a play caller now, you're on it. Every play you got to be, figuring out what are they doing against this formation, and how are they playing us on second and long, how are they playing us on third down, and what's the distance, and where are we at on the field, and all those type of things. So it's like you're way more engaged. It's as close to feeling like a player as being a player. So
Right.
Without the wear and tear on the knees. And
yeah,
the
exactly.
shoulders,
Now I
right?
get to actually sit down, and when it's cold out, I'm in the booth, which is awesome.
But you're there, you're in it, you're involved, you're doing it yeah, for sure. It's so there's actually a guy that I work with. He's a nurse anesthetist. He's awesome guy, Mike Savriano, and he played high school football down the shore here in Jersey. Played for Rutgers for a year, then and it's sort of a similar track where like I don't know if it was the same coach that you had when you were in Delaware, but he sort of made a career of like finding guys that were playing for bigger programs, and if something had gone awry, recruiting them over to Delaware and put together a really, really good team at Delaware. So he played for Delaware a little bit, and then actually he played at Rowan.
Wow.
He finished his career at Rowan, and he said he's like honestly, that was the best experience I had in football. Like I loved going to Rowan, as luck would have it. Now he didn't coach at Rowan, but as a player,
it's honestly like I have such an appreciation for Division III athletics and Division III football, because football is a very big commitment, and it's a sacrifice that you're putting on your body. And these kids are knuckleheads, and you know it. And we deal with it, but they're here, and
that's
there's
coach
nothing,
talk right there, baby.
We're giving them nothing to do what we're asking them to do, and they're doing it. So I have a lot of appreciation for them, and it's just it's football still at the purest level. Guys are here because they love football.
Yeah.
Right? They're not here for NIL deals. They're not here for a full ride. They're here because they just want to play football. Yeah. So that's what I love about it.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, like you said, that separates, especially now with the divisions of NCAA. Like, I just saw a post about Colorado with Deion Sanders' rules and all his fines that he subjects his players to. Like, ones that have stuck out to me, obviously, were missing treatment, missing rehab, or whatever the case is. Like $1,000 here, $1,000 here. And it's like, that's bizarre, idea in my head of but that's the world of NIL now. These guys are making so much money in this Division I world. But like you said, Gino, the kids that you and I work with on a daily basis, they're there just for football. They're there for the school, and they're there just to have a good time and do that. And so our job as the staff is to kind of make the best environment for them to do this and have fun while doing it, right? I don't go into work every day trying to ruin kids' lives or, make it tough for them. But yeah, they make things a little difficult at times. But at the end of the day, it is the pure
college
love
kids.
of the game, right? And they're college kids. They're always going to be 18 to 22-year-old kids.
Yeah.
It's the end. No matter what, you and I are going to keep getting older, Gino, and they're always going to be 18 to 22-year-olds, But that is the beauty and the difference of it being I've been at semi-professional level, Division I, Division II, Division III, and that is the difference, is that these kids aren't getting too much to do this. They're just doing it because that's what they love to do. And to keep them out there doing it is what keeps me going. So it kind of all balances itself out.
Yeah. Well, Deion's right in doing that, and every other college organization or program that has guys making that kind of money should be doing the same thing. Yeah. That's how it is in the NFL. If you miss a weigh-in, if you are late for a meeting, you're getting fined $5,000 a pop at least, depending on how much money you're making. If you're one of the big contract guys, you're getting hit hard.
It is crazy. It's very different, right? Because now there are contracts, and now there are lawsuits, like violating the contract, leaving all this. It's a whole can of worms has been opened up. It's very interesting to see how it's
the scariest part is there's no regulation. It's very hard to regulate. It's easy to regulate a 32-team league. With certain a specific roster limit and salary cap and all that stuff, but you got all these NCAA programs that it's the Wild West that have there's no cap on level of competition. So if however much money you can raise, that's how much talent you can bring in.
Right.
And it's just I don't know. It's chaotic.
You need really
really
wealthy alumni to give you a solid
Yeah.
donation. You can get a whole studded roster, and it's like,
Yep.
oh, now we're making a big deal.
Now you build,
Yeah.
for sure. So, injury-wise, you had a couple of pretty big injuries there down the stretch. And you just started to describe it a little bit. It was more of like, hey, man, like we're not fixing this. We're just going to try to make you better. Tell us a little bit about some of those injuries that you had down the stretch.
Yeah, it was. It was always minor things. I was very fortunate, like through high school and college, to not have major ligament damage.
Yeah.
I did have a meniscus tear in college that I got trimmed, like a minor scope. It wasn't a big deal. But then when I got into the league after my second year, it was after my second year in Baltimore. That was the year I started. I played all the games, and then, about week 10, I felt this in my right knee, and it just felt bad. So I got my MRI, torn meniscus. You can play through it. We'll manage the pain as long as you can push it. If you feel like you need to go. And they were really, it was very professional, and it was very businesslike. So they knew we needed to be out there to make our money and to continue our career. So they knew we weren't going to tap out if we didn't need to. So, the trainer said, it looks, pretty significant. I'm sure it's painful. So if you feel like you can't perform the way that you think you can perform, then tell us, and we'll put you. We'll get the surgery done now. But I was playing. I didn't want to come out. So I played the rest of the season on that. Week 13, ended up on my knee. Marshall Yanda stepped on it on my calf, which twisted this was the weirdest MCL injury that I got. So usually MCL is like collision on the outside of the leg, right? And a little stretch on the inside ligament. Well, this part, I was on my knee, and he stepped on my calf, which twisted my lower leg. So that kind of stretched the MCL. So now I had my lateral meniscus and my MCL for the last 3 weeks of the season, which was miserable. But, you just did it, because they were both injuries that I knew, like, okay, if it's just pain. It's not like I can't. It's not. It's strong. Yeah. It can do what it needs to do. I just got to do it, right? Mm-hmm. And Toradol helped, but But So finished the season out. Then that's when they cleared out all that crap out of the outside of my knee. The MCL wasn't that big of a deal. I think it might have been a grade 1.
Yeah, they tend to heal real well on their own.
Yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was just like, oh, great, in the same knee. Can it just at least be in the other one?
Right.
So they cleaned that out. I actually got a PRP shot in it after about a month or two after the surgery. They said, we haven't really done this a whole lot, but this is good for recovery.
Pretty new at that point in time.
This was this was the end of the 2013 season.
Yeah.
And this was used, and correct me if I'm wrong, if my memory's correct, I think they told me that this used to be used in muscles more so than joints.
So it was, for sure. That's going to help healing, but it was also being used in joints sometimes. And it was even in some fracture care and that sort of stuff. And I think that there was more research to sort of get a little more specific when there are different varieties, right? Mm-hmm. Like there are different ways that different systems will concentrate PRP to different levels, and then you can have leukocyte rich or leukocyte poor, and there are different characteristics to the way that it's prepared, and it's still a little bit nebulous. We don't have definitive answers, but we've gotten better at figuring out which this one is probably better if you put it in a joint. This one's better for ligaments. This one's better if you're trying to get a muscle to heal, that sort of a thing. Mm-hmm. But at that point in time, it was literally PRP inject. But but they were just starting to use it in joints.
So they did it, and I don't know if it's like a placebo thing, but it felt like it. It felt like it worked.
You're not alone. Yeah.
But I when it comes to injections, from my unprofessional, not very studied opinion,
anecdotal,
I am very against cortisone shots. I think that, from what I know about them, feels like it's just a Band-Aid and it's just going to get worse after time.
Right.
I feel like the PRP shot though makes sense, that where it's your blood that they're taking, it's your blood that they're putting back in you. So at the very worst, it just doesn't work, but it doesn't do any harm to you.
Right.
I feel like cortisone, or if you're injecting certain things, then that's something that can maybe cause some harm down the road. I don't know about like the gel shots and the things that they do to try to like kind of boost the cushion in there for the meniscus and things like that. Yeah. I've never had any of that done, but
really geared more towards our arthritis. So like the main medicine that's in those shots is hyaluronic acid, which you see in like skin creams and shampoos and like all, it's like stuff, right? It's like everything nowadays, and it's different. It's not like if you have a torn meniscus, sometimes they'll inject you'll do hyaluronic acid, but really that's not what it's intended for. Occasionally can be helpful. It's really meant for mild to moderate arthritis, which, by the way that you like sort of described the injury, I suspect may have been going on. And like, I don't know, I hate to say this, maybe that's in your future or something to try. I
got a couple of joints I could try it in.
Sure, so. Yeah, right, exactly. If you have kind of, goat beard changes in your shoulder, a little bit off-label to do in the shoulder, I don't know, maybe it'd be helpful.
Might have a shot there.
I'm all for being a test dummy if you got anything you want to try out. But then, so that was my second year. And then after my 1 year in Carolina, had the same exact thing happen to my left knee. But this time, and it's actually wild, I just put the connection right now as I'm telling the stories together. It was the week 14 or week 15. We had a couple weeks left in the season, and I'm battling through this. It's kind of the same situation, and this was like I was a backup for the first 7 or 8 weeks of the season. Ryan Khalil had a shoulder injury that took him out for the year. He had to get surgery on his shoulder. And then I took over, and I was actually feeling like I was playing my best football at that time. I was in year 6. I had been, I'd been through it, so I like mentally was able to play faster than I was year 2 when I was playing for Baltimore. Loved my O-line coach that I had in Carolina. So like I loved the situation that I was in there, and felt like I was playing my best ball. And then, obviously then the same thing happens to my left knee, torn meniscus, and, it's just painful. And this time it felt worse than my right knee. And I don't know if it was just because I was older at the time. And, but so it just like, it felt more limiting to me. It felt like it was catching and like making me jerk and making me like feel it more than the other one was. And then in the Oakland game, week 14 or 15, whatever it was, and I come getting sideswiped, and then same thing, MCL. But this time it was just like a real small tweak, but like I felt it, and I was just like, man, I just at that point knew like I couldn't keep pushing through that. So then I shut that season down. That was 2016. I shut that season down. They gave me surgery. Last 3 or 4 weeks of the season was on IR. And then that following spring ball and training camp and all that was still with Carolina, still in a great situation. Loved the organization, loved my coaches, loved my teammates, loved the city. And, going through training camp and we're playing Jacksonville. I think it was maybe week 3 of the preseason, and got an AC sprain, grade 2 AC sprain on my left shoulder. And my left shoulder had been hurting me since my freshman year at West Virginia. I have anterior and posterior labral tears. Just joint damage from the consistent collisions there. But then that AC was bad. That hurt. I felt like my arm was like off my body when that happened. I was pulling, and I remember that when the collision happened, my whole arm just like felt like it wasn't even there. And I thought for sure this was like the most serious injury that I've ever had. And they were talking about the AC like it wasn't that big of a deal, and because it's really not like in a structural aspect, but it is a pain thing. It is one of the worst things that I've.
And especially if you have to collide with other people with that shoulder, right? Regularly, that's just gonna aggravate it. But like
so that started that year on IR for me. So then that was just kind of like the downfall. Of
For sure. Started piling up, like, man, it's starting to hurt a lot more.
When you end a season on IR and then start the next season on IR, that's
a bad sign.
Spot.
Everything's folding out in front of you. Like, oh man, I guess I got to read this how it is, right?
And that's when it's funny because that So that was the 2017 season that I started on IR.
Right.
So I was fortunate. I got a severance. I think it was like 5 weeks or 6 weeks. So I got those credited weeks. So I got the credited season. So that was my 6th credited season. So that was big for me because like for retirement benefits and getting the year of like credibility is a big
season
deal.
is a big deal.
Yeah, it is because
this is the side that I love.
Because each credited season that you earn is a boost on your pension. Your pension is times the number of seasons that you've played. Okay. So you want to try to times that as much as you can.
Stay in.
And I think it's only 3 weeks. And I don't know if they've changed it yet or not, but I think it's 3 weeks counts as a credited season. They may have changed it now that they play 18 weeks instead of 17. I don't know. But that's what it was. So I ended up
Phillip
getting
Rivers
that.
made an adjustment to that too. That's why it came back real quick, right?
So you guys are like this. So the 2017 season, first 4 or 5 weeks on IR, so rehab, and I stay in Charlotte because I have this training facility that I was going to in the off seasons that had a in-house AT guy, and he was great, a PT guy, and he was great. Did some for the first time with the needle therapy,
like dry needling.
The dry needling in my shoulder, which I thought was really helpful. Not long lasting, but helpful, to like kind of loosen the shoulder up.
A little bit, right?
So stayed there, kind of rehab, but then like once I felt like I was good to go, my agent starts reaching out. So then that was kind of like the Wild West, like the rest of that season. I ended up not getting picked up anywhere, but I was flying to, I flew to Indianapolis and then I flew to New York. And then I actually one time flew from a team to another team.
Wow.
Because it actually was Indianapolis to the Giants. So when I was in Indianapolis doing a workout, the Giants called my agent. So my agent was like, all right, we got to cancel your flight from Indianapolis back home.
Right.
You're going from Indianapolis to New York. You're going to work out for the Giants. So I had about 4 or 5 of those for the rest that season. And you see that happening all the time. Guys bring, veterans in to work them out to see if they can just add them for depth or whatever, especially because injuries happen late in the season.
Yeah.
But nothing ended up happening the rest of that season, which was 2017. And then 2018 got signed in New York for training camp, was with the Jets for training camp. Got cut at the end of training camp. I was actually with Sam Darnold in training camp.
Oh, is that right? Really?
Cool.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Got cut there and then got picked up by Denver in like week 7 or 8 and then played the rest of the season there in Denver. Wow. And that was my last year in 2018.
Right.
But after that, 2017, starting the year on IR, that's when every team that brought me in that even considered signing me was telling me I got to sign a waiver saying that if anything happened to my left shoulder or either of my knees, they were not liable.
Right.
So I'm telling my agent, I'm not signing that because what if I tear my ACL? I have never had an issue with my ACL before.
Right.
My meniscus is one thing. My
That's
ACL,
really interesting. Yeah. No.
If I tear that, they're saying that I've signed a waiver on my right knee, so they're not liable for that. I'm done for the year, and I'm not getting what I'm supposed. I wouldn't get paid.
Yeah. What about the
my
pure
agent said
expense of it?
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
You have no option at this point. You got to sign it. So I ended up having to sign it. But yeah, that was one of the things. So I don't know if you can get more specific of like, I'll sign a waiver that if I get a meniscus injury again, that you're not liable. But if I tear something that's not even on my injury report, but that's just where you get to, and they have the power to do that because there's thousands of guys that want that position. So if you don't want it, okay, fine, we'll find somebody else.
Else to fill
the next guy.
Yeah.
No, it's true for sure. Some leverage,
and it's definitely next man up type of deal. Like it happens all the time.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we almost saw it with Denver if they could have figured it out after the Bo Nix injury.
Right.
But unfortunately, they couldn't. And
that first drive, man, you're like, what do we got going on here?
He threw a couple dimes.
Yeah.
Did him right. He threw a couple dimes there. Like, oh, man, this might be interesting. Then it wasn't that.
Did you guys talk about that Bo Nix injury?
No, we kind of didn't. We didn't touch on it that much. I looked into it a little bit, and still it was kind of funny how, like, at the end of the season, everything got a little vague, and it was just an ankle injury, fracture.
Yeah.
Assumed it was a fibular fracture that he just couldn't.
It had to be, right? Like so based on the fact that he was able to finish the game with it and whatnot, like it had to be a fibular fracture. I can't I can't imagine it was something different than that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else it could have been. And I think, but then you can also flip it to where, Daniel Jones played with a fibula fracture and had this crazy splint on his leg from our guys overprotected.
Right.
You thought he could maybe push through, but it must have been bad enough to where, no, you can't do that.
So, lots of times when if it is a fibula fracture, you start considering it more of an ankle fracture if it's kind of below the equator there. If it's below, the bottom half of the fibula, below the bottom half of the tibia. If the fibula fracture is in the bottom half of the leg. I'll say that easier. Right. And then once it starts getting below that level, then there's a little more of instability. It becomes much harder to be able to play through it. And I think that during the game, if the injury happens, he's like, something's not right, it hurts, but he keeps playing, doesn't know what's going on. But then after the fact, they do X's, they see it, and this could be a real problem for a still young quarterback.
Right.
All of a sudden it changes, and then he's out he's pulled for the next game. But it is, 80% of the weight in your leg goes through the tibia, not through the fibula, the little bone on the outside there. So people do kind of get away with a little bit more. So, again, I don't know exactly what kind of a fracture it was, but I feel like maybe that's how he was able to get away with it. That's how it was. They just go and tape it up tight and get him through. But then by the end of the game, it's swollen. Then you have this whole other host of issues. But it was interesting, right?
Adrenaline could get you pretty far, in the moment. And
then when adrenaline comes down, it's not so good.
Yeah.
And with that too, it's also, again, like I mentioned before, that the weird level of sports medicine where you can push the envelope a little bit. At that rate, it was divisional round before the AFC Championship game. So in theory, they were going to try to push this 3 more weeks, which is that's a really hard push to
Oh, I didn't realize that. No.
Yeah, because Stidham started the AFC Championship game, right? He would have had to go through that whole first week, and then another 2 weeks to make it to the Super Bowl if they won.
Yeah.
And pushing it that far, which is almost halfway through what it could have just been healed at that rate, not the best situation.
Was it surgical? Did he wind up with surgery?
I think he ended up having surgery.
So then that's why. Yeah, you gotta pull the plug.
Yeah, you gotta do it sooner than later, so you don't have bigger effects, and that's their guy, right? You don't want to ruin your franchise quarterback trying to make a push for one Super Bowl where hopefully this young guy has a chance of making this team better in the playoffs. They had a good run this year. I can only imagine they're only going to get better or stay at least kind of relevant for the next couple years.
Yeah. So it was good to see Denver back this year because they've been through a rough stretch since Peyton left.
For sure.
Yeah, they couldn't figure out who they wanted. Then they had the little Russell Wilson experiment.
Yeah,
that was so good for him.
Yeah. Poor Russ had a bad end of his
second.
Great Hall of Fame first half of his career.
Yeah,
and
then
but I hate when people make the argument that when a guy like that, if he would retire, you look at Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck, and I think they were both same year.
Right.
We were all 2012. I think we all came out together.
Wow.
So.
I don't think I realized that. But
RG3.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
So we look at both of those guys and the success so if Russell Wilson would have retired at Seattle and had all that success, is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
If you say yes, then how do you not say yes if he
agreed
with the rest of his career?
Yeah.
He just okay.
It wasn't the same.
Got on a couple bad teams. It's just it's hard, especially at the quarterback position. But I think at any position in football, fit is very important. Scheme is very important.
Yeah. Right.
People that you're around and all that type of stuff. And really, when it comes down to it, it's there takes a lot of luck. And you guys know this with injuries. If you can stay healthy and if you can have things kind of go your way throughout the season, especially at that level when the talent is all pretty much the same across the board, you need a lot of luck along the way to kind of get to where you want to go.
Right.
So.
And in that vein, you played with Joe Flacco back then. There he is. Back on the field again this year. Still swinging. Yeah.
He's on the TV behind us right now playing in the Pro Bowl games not a couple minutes ago. He's still doing it. It's crazy.
Right.
I love it.
We love it. Local guy, right? And do you keep in touch with him? Do you see him? Do you talk to him?
Yeah, I do. We text, I'll text him and I love rooting for him because I love his personality. I love his demeanor. I love the fact that he's not doing it for anything but I'm just gonna keep doing it because he's very competitive and he knows he can still do it.
And he did.
Yeah, and he still does it. Like, I just love it, and I would play as long as I could too.
Yeah,
of course.
But yeah, he's just like his demeanor. Just I loved playing with him because it was never. He never panicked.
Yeah.
He never like.
Well, that's him. Yeah.
He never complained. He never pointed fingers at anybody. Like when he got pissed, and you could tell it was like a competitive, from a very competitive spirit.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it was never like put off in a bad way to anybody else around him. So just love rooting for him. Love seeing him do well. I love his family too. Like his dad's, really good guy.
Yeah.
He's got 5 kids up in Haddonfield. So his wife's just out here doing it by herself when he's away. But
didn't you brought him out there? I think this year, right? Like so they could be with him this year.
Yeah. And I'm sure they probably take trips all the time.
And there are a lot of Flaccos like all around. Like it's a big. It's not just like the medium family. But it's like a big family. Like, he had other brothers that like played for I think like Gateway or some of the other local high schools that were pretty good.
Yeah. He does have a big family. I know his brother actually played quarterback at Towson.
That's what. Yeah.
Good athlete too. Not as tall. He was actually like I think it was only like 5'11" or something. But good athlete. He had a couple brothers that kind of played different sports. Big baseball family too, I think.
Sure. So. And then the way you described it is, so I live in the same town that he lives in. I live in Haddonfield, and the reputation is that like he's just normal, down to earth guy. And he's like, not every one of there's a number of athletes that live there. Not all the athletes are like that engaged, but like there are a few that are like they're just in the town. They're engaged. The kids go, and he's one of those people, and that's how he's regarded.
Yeah,
he's really well liked, which is a tough pill to swallow for a Steeler fan to be able to have to admit that.
Right.
Well, you never know. He might end up on the Steelers. That's the only team in the AFC North he hasn't played for yet.
Might just do the cycle, right?
I would take it. Honestly, I would take it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I talk crap to my cousins all the time because everybody back home is big Steeler fans. So
sure.
I would love that.
What was that feeling? I have to ask. I can't not ask. What was that feeling? You grew up in Pittsburgh. Presumably, you were a Steeler fan growing up, and you get drafted by the Ravens.
Yeah, I was. I was a diehard Steeler fan. But actually, I was going to mention it too when we were talking about Denver a little bit. I actually
you were a Denver fan.
I was a very big front runner.
Okay.
So I was a big Denver fan. John Elway, Terrell Davis, when they won the back-to-back Super Bowls. So I loved Denver growing up.
And they had the best, that was their offensive line was like unbelievable. I don't know if that was the attraction for you, but
no, the run game, they just ran the ball on everybody. But it was like the Steelers were always the team for me.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it was like Denver when they were good, Green Bay when Favre was there, Falcons when Vic was there. I was always a fan of players.
Just a fan, yeah.
But I think that makes sense because kind of how I like drifted away from the Steelers as I became more invested. And it actually happened when my brother got drafted. So in 2006, 2006 was his draft year. He got drafted to Tampa. So once that happened, you just root for him and where he's at. You don't really care too much about the Steelers anymore.
Right.
Even though, like, when they made that run and they won the Super Bowls after that time, I think that was the year when they played the Seahawks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then a few years later beat the
Cardinals.
The Cardinals, So, I was obviously very excited for those Super Bowls. But as far as, like, watching them every week and being a diehard, I kind of got out of that. I was watching Bruce every week, but
of course, that becomes your focus. That's your brother, right?
Yeah.
Without question.
Getting drafted by Baltimore. So I knew that Baltimore was going to be in play because I had a couple of visits pre-draft, and Baltimore was one of them. And obviously, like, loved the culture there. Loved the just the environment, the Baltimore Ravens way. Like, it was just so cool. So,
which is always a tough pill to swallow for a Steelers fan because you see it, right? Like, and it's a well-run organization, and it's football that Steelers fans tend to like, which is why it's such a big rivalry, I think.
And which is why it was easy for me to just go all in and be all on board for the Ravens. So,
sure.
But it was funny too because we had a huge draft party at the house. So, like, where I grew up in Pittsburgh, my one aunt lives one block this way. My other aunt lives one block this way.
That sounds
my 2 other aunts are 5 minutes away. So as soon as my name's called, everybody's at my house. There's hundreds of people at my house. People are flocking from like the neighborhood just to come and hang
amazing.
out.
That's awesome.
And it was like the coolest day ever. So I really enjoyed that. But then there was also like the jabs and the comments all day of like, are you really going to go play for the Ravens?
Are you going to really show up?
And the best was when my second year when I was playing, I was actually on the field playing.
Yeah.
And we played the Steelers, and it was there was a very controversial call. I don't know if it was a 2-point play or it was near the end zone, and it was Le'Veon Bell, and it was like maybe a horse collar or a face mask.
It probably
or something
was.
like that. So it was a bad call that they missed, and we ended up winning the game. So then after the game, you look at my phone, I would get all these texts from my cousins like, great game, good job, proud of you, all this stuff. And then I switch over to Twitter, and it's those same cousins that are complaining about the refs and bashing the Ravens and all that stuff. So gotta love that.
That's hysterical. Holy crud.
What an interesting circle of how it all works out, right? Like you grow up one way and go the other way, and then it was a good ride, though. I mean, hey, like you said, once in a lifetime opportunity. Again, I mean, one, to be drafted in the NFL is one, and then first year go right to the Super Bowl and win the whole thing, which is crazy.
Amazing. Yeah. So I want to get your take on what is I consider to be somewhat breaking news of what's going on right now. Right, we got the Olympics on the horizon.
Oh yeah.
And I love it. I love the Olympics. Especially football season's about to end. I don't want to say avoid, but there is a little bit of a downtime in sports.
Big bit of a down.
Fair enough.
Tough few weeks, yeah.
But now all of a sudden, Lindsey Vonn, torn ACL, but she's going to try to compete anyway. Yeah. And I'm going to be happy to weigh in just a few minutes, but I'm kind of curious. What are your thoughts? And have you seen anything like that? Like, with your knees, you got them scoped. It wasn't great. It wasn't ideal, but you just went on, played through. Have you seen anybody trying to do that in the NFL?
Listen, women are so much tougher than men. Okay, I know a girl from high school that played the rest of the soccer season on a torn ACL. How do you even do that?
Right.
I don't understand it. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think about Lindsey Vonn. She snowboards, right? Correct?
Ski. Downhill ski.
Oh,
downhill ski. Yeah.
I was gonna say snowboard. I could see maybe you can protect
little
it
better.
a little bit.
You're locked in. Yeah.
Skiing,
but
there's a lot of stability involved in that. Like, how do you support the knee in a way where you're not risking that thing getting unstable going down there?
And then with that, how do you avoid the injury when you go bombing down at 900 miles an hour?
I think also just to note, and again, a little history just to kind of encapsulate what's going on with her, right?
Please.
So it's her left ACL and meniscus that she tore last week in a pretty big crash going downhill.
It was like the last run.
Yeah, it was like a last run, kind of like the last. I don't know if it was like a preliminary or how it worked with downhill skiing, however the case is. So specifically to her knees in general, back in 2007 was her right-sided ACL sprain. February of 2013, right ACL, MCL. In the February of that year. November of 2013, she retore that same ACL. Then it starts with the 2016, she had multiple fractures in her left knee, which is the same knee she just injured.
Yeah.
Then 2018, she had a left LCL injury and fracture, tibial plateau fracture with this. And then she had in 2019, I believe she kind of retired for the most part because she had a partial knee replacement in her right knee, which had a lot of damage. And so now she goes ahead and she's 41 years old, and she's going downhill again and takes a major crash and tears her left ACL and meniscus. And then I think it was kind of broke news today, and she went on a press conference and says, I'm going to just go for it. This is and again, like we said, once in a lifetime opportunity, right? Olympics are once every 4 years, very much. If you missed the boat on this, 4 years from now, it's way different. I mean, Gino, you said 8 years in the NFL, right?
7. Yeah,
7. So that's one chance
career.
at one Olympic, right? If you think of it that way. And so the reports are just saying that she's going to wear a brace and that she's already been skiing a week after. And I don't know, someone who's had that extensive history.
Yeah.
You know what it feels like. You know what you're in for, I guess.
Yeah.
But to deal with the inflammation of that injury or whatever the case, that's got to be tough.
Well, I'm sorry to
No, go
cut
for
you
it.
off, but when you talk about when we're talking about Bo Nix kind of really the Super Bowl injuries, and you talk about the Super Bowl is this is even more
even higher.
than the
Yeah,
Super
it's like
Bowl. It's just
even
one
more of a rare
opportunity.
opportunity, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because there are these athletes across the world that may have peaked 2 years ago. Now they're trying to just chase that now in these Olympics or whatever the case is.
Right. Right.
And for someone like Lindsey Vonn, who's very much decorated with her medals and all her accomplishments.
Yeah, world champion over and over. Yeah.
Ridiculous amount of world championships, medals, or whatever the case is. I don't have all her, accolades on paper here, but to do it at such an age of being 41, which is a little bit older, and especially for such a pretty almost violent sport. Downhill skiing is very fast and catastrophic if you make the wrong.
That's the worry, right? Like they should. I'm just gonna do it, and whatever happens, happens. And like you're saying, I admire the toughness. Like, holy crud.
Yeah.
But if she's coming down the mountain at 80 miles an hour and there's an issue and her knee's not stable and she's not able to do what she needs to do, you worry about all the other injuries that ensues. As she's, the agony of defeat, sort of, you know what I'm talking about. The commercial, you don't want to see that scenario.
Right.
Will she be able to do this? There are different degrees of tears. Number one, if it's not fully torn, it's still way too soon for her to be out there. So very, very dangerous maneuver. But if you're going to throw caution into the wind, maybe there's a little bit of stability there. That's number one. Number two, with this many injuries, multiple fractures in the knee and whatnot, she might be arthritic already. Like she has a partial knee replacement in the other knee.
Yeah.
As crazy as it is, the only good thing to come out of arthritis is it's stiff, right? So instability is the issue you get with a torn ACL.
That's a great part about my shoulder.
Right.
It's very,
super
very
stiff.
stable.
Right.
Doesn't go anywhere.
You're not dislocating anytime soon. Yeah. So maybe she has a super stiff knee because she's had a couple fractures already, and even though she's only 41, she's just beat the heck out of the knee, and so that could potentially help her, but. I don't know, man. I have my doubts. I don't think it's a great idea. I just hope she doesn't get hurt more.
Yeah.
Of course, this is like Hollywood script in the making. If she does do well, it defies all the odds. But you just hate. Yeah.
I think I read an article and she just says, I'm not saying I'm out or I'm not saying I'm a full go, but there's just a chance. And I think, again, with this once in a lifetime type athletic accomplishment that you have the opportunity to go for. Yeah, you got to go for it if you can, because I don't think she's going to try to compete at 45. You got to look past this. It's this is really it. She already retired once. Yeah, and she
came back for this.
She is the Michael Jordan of female skiing, but I don't think she's going to keep unretiring at that rate.
I think your point about snowboarding versus skiing is a great one, right? Because in snowboard, she's locked in, so at least that helps. With skiing, she has to control the skis. And
sure, putting a brace on it can protect it externally for a little bit. But dealing with the pain, dealing with the instability,
and your joints aren't just stabilizing your feet; they're stabilizing those big long sticks on your feet.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And you're also going 80 miles an hour downhill. Gravity's not helping you. Not
crazy.
Yeah. Now there are they're basically, for the most part. Often we'll divide up someone who has a torn ACL or an ACL deficient knee into one of three categories. So the vast majority, 90% of people, 95% of people fall into this middle category where you can do regular stuff, ADLs, activities. You can walk around, you can actually go for a straight line jog, you can work out, and typically your knee won't be unstable. It's only if you do cutting and pivoting type stuff. Then you have a smallish category of people that are, maybe 5%, where they're unstable even just with activities of daily living. And like just walking around, their knee just gives out and down they go. And then you have this very small category. It's considered 0.2%. And actually, John Elway falls into this category. They say, I don't know. And Hines Ward, they say, falls into this category. And they're called the copers. Mm-hmm. People who are ACL deficient knee. And for whatever reason, despite their ACL being deficient, it's just stable enough. However the ACL scarred down or whatever it is, they're stable enough. But those, typically, that's not right after an injury.
Right.
That's later therapy
when it can
down
build
the
up
road.
some scar tissue.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Scar
that's
it down
exactly
a little
right.
bit, but she's just I don't.
She's going for it.
I didn't look it up when the first downhill skiing event is, but I assume it's going to be within less than 2 weeks from injury.
Pretty sure.
I mean, I tore my ACL, and I wasn't walking around too great at 2 weeks post-injury, let alone trying to ski down a hill at a fast rate of speed.
Amazing.
You know, it's definitely.
And I always worry about this. The people who see this happen, they're like, "Oh, I don't need to."
Oh yeah.
Do it. And then so the downstream effect, and you're like
the opposite effect of like very similar, like the Adrian Peterson of coming back 6 months post-op, like everyone's thinking. Now it's going to be the opposite of like, oh, I don't need to get surgery.
I don't need surgery.
I can keep going.
I can Lindsey Vonn it.
I can Lindsey Vonn it and just keep going, right? Yeah. I think we kind of are towards the tail end here. I mean, it's not a Super Bowl show if we don't go with our little bit of predictions here. Who do you guys have winning? And then with that too, we'll also go with who do you think is going to win the MVP? Who do you got, Gino?
Oh, that's bold. Okay, all right.
I'm pulling for Sam Darnold. I'd love to see him win. I'd love to see Seattle win.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him win the MVP.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think it's going to be a kind of like a boring like Rams Patriots Super Bowl back then. Like I don't think it'd be as boring. I'm thinking like 17-14 Seattle.
We even got a score prediction. I
Wow.
like it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you think who I'm sorry, I missed
Sam
it.
Darnold.
You think he's
I'm
going to be the
pulling
MVP?
for Sam Darnold to be the MVP. I think the quarterback of the winning team is a safe bet.
Yeah. It's always a good call.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to go next? Or?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote, and it's on here too, you guys. I haven't wrote anything. I went with the Seahawks winning, and I went with a wild card MVP, Rashid Shaheed, a special teams stud who's going to shake it up a little bit. I think with JSN on the field, he might open up some opportunities. And dude's so fast, just launch it downfield, hope for the best.
Right.
I think he might have a good stat line and could maybe push the non-quarterback MVP option out there.
Yeah.
I also just don't want to see the Patriots winning.
Right. So I was going to say it's painful for me to say, and if you before this past, well, I guess 2 weeks ago, before the championship, the AFC NFC champion, the conference championship games, I think I probably would have said whoever shows up from the AFC is going to win the game in that particular one. But now at this point, I actually am very much swayed towards the Seahawks. I was they're better than I've given them credit for. Is the bottom line. I'm still going to go with the Patriots, even though, I just have a feeling, I don't know why, and I hate to say that, and I got to say, I am very impressed by Drake Maye. Like he is way better than I had ever anticipated, and lots of times I think that's kind of what does it.
Yeah, I think with that being said, I think as long as this right throwing shoulder injury isn't anything serious, I think he has a chance to do it. Like, I agree with you. I think
so now I have a built-in excuse if it doesn't go the way that I
if it doesn't. He had this shady reported injury. I don't know.
Exactly.
So, again, Gino, thanks so much for coming out tonight. This was a great
great.
conversation.
A
lot of good
I
stuff.
hope we can get you back on again, man.
I'd love to.
This is definitely, hopefully not a one-and-done situation. So before we go ahead and close out our tab tonight, we're just going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Neck of the Woods Brewing Company, giving us the best beer in all South Jersey, hooking us up, and Timber Reel Productions, helping us get all this media out to everybody on YouTube and Instagram and everything else. So everyone, thank you. Enjoy the Super Bowl, and we'll see you next time.